It's Thursday, August 1st, 2019, and this is the Pro and the Con Show, live from Hudson, Wisconsin at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the show. Hope you have a chance to look at some of the other 15 to 20 minute segments I've done in the past and will do in the future. So the whole intent is to encourage us to be more open to listening to each other and our concerns about the various issues, and really often offering an alternative to the way that we currently or have traditionally done things with the two-party system and the way we basically are combatants over issues that we should just be talking about more as compatriots than combatants. So last night there was another Democratic Party debate, and I think I got these right. So Michael Bennet, Joe Biden, Cory Booker, Leon Castro, Bill de Blasio, Tulsi Gabbard, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Jay Inslee, and Andrew Young. There's my little cheat sheet there. So I vowed yesterday that I would watch the whole thing. I encouraged you guys to do the same, and then I didn't do it. I watched about the first half, a little over half, just a little bit over half, and I couldn't take it anymore. And I'll tell you why. The reason why I couldn't watch anymore is because I was really frustrated and disappointed and feeling like the status quo is just doing us such tremendous disservice. So here we had 10 people on the stage, 10 potential candidates for the presidency of the United States, all coming from the same political party, really in many ways expressing very, very similar beliefs with some differences, but very often very, very similar beliefs. And so, but they, because of the system and because they all would be king. You're going to hear me say this over and over and over again over the course of the next months, but they all would be king. They want to be king, and so they have to differentiate themselves. So what do? They propose their own policies separate from each other, and then they fight over sometimes trivialities, whether this person or that person's policy or a stand is considerably different, or their past performance is considerably worse, these kinds of things. And it's it's tiring to watch and frustrating, and it stirs sadness, depression, anger, myriad emotions inside me to watch this kind of thing go on, when we could be doing so much better. And this is, and again, I'll talk about it in this one. I've talked about it in the past, going forward in future episodes of the Pro and Con Show. We need to get rid of the political parties. We need to just get rid of them and get rid of this whole concept of people leading our country because they would be king. And again, just to emphasize, I'm not saying that there is 0% of these people, no portion of them that truly want to serve the American people, but there is definitely a portion of all of them, and it's a different portion depending on who they are, as to what fraction of their personality, if you will, is dedicated to just winning the office and having, being called president of the United States and flying around in a fancy airplane and stuff like this. And clearly, especially in last night's debate with the 10 people that were on the stage. This is a major motivation for all 10. That's all I can say. Yeah, it was, I thought it was pretty sad, actually, and frustrating and angering, like I said earlier. So how do we fix this? How do we get beyond it? Well, like I've said before, we look at it like kind of a mashup, if we use a kind of a more modern term. It's an amalgam of the jury system, where you basically just randomly select some number of people, and so you would go through, well, they have to be adults, they have to be adults of a certain age. We could put some other criteria on them, but I don't know that we need to. Just adults of a certain age, because the Constitution requires certain ages for different offices, and that's it. So adults, male and female, selected at random, totally random. So you don't care where they live, and each state would put forward, again, selected from random from their states, let's say 20 candidates. So you'd have a total of 50 times 20, so 1,000 people that would be potentially looked at on a national or state and then national level. And then you have them just like jury duty, except for instead of having like a pool of 50 to try to get a pool of to a jury of 12, you would have this, whatever the right number is, maybe it's 500 across the nation instead of 1,000, but it's certainly in the hundreds. And you put them into this, require as part of being a citizen, that if you are just like jury duty, if you are selected to do this, to be part of the jury pool, in this case part of the candidate pool, you have to go forward with the process. So there would be standardized questions and standardized formats for you to answer all kinds of things about your background, and probably you'd have to again, all to be determined, but maybe there's you would provide a list of 50 people that have known you across your lifetime, and then they would be selected at random to talk about you, to do a survey, if you will, kind of like a little mini census about you as one of these potential candidate pool individuals. And anyway, so then all of this would end up on an absolutely secure website that all of us could look at. You'd have, probably some kind of biologic capability to go in there. The candidates themselves can make sure that the information is correct. They can go and look every single day. And in fact, we can automate it so that they get a notice if someone is changing the information, so that they know that, oh, someone's changing my information. I can go and look and see, make sure it's myself or someone that I'm trusting to do this with me, that's making those changes. And anyway, so then, there's the information, and we start looking at it, all of us. So there'd be millions of people across the country that would spend, not huge amounts of time, but this could go on over weeks, where they would, you go and look for 10, 15, 20 minutes and look at various people and vote for them, basically. After you looked at so many, you would say, okay, I think I really like these 5 people, and I like this woman the best. So she gets 5 points, and then the second person gets, maybe another woman, I don't know, whatever, man, whoever, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point, and that's it. Now that you've kind of cast your preliminary support. And by the way, no millions of dollars, no billions of dollars raised, no corporate enterprises, no infomercials, no attack ads. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be wonderful? And you have these people who really, they were perfectly good at serving, and what you're going to find is some of them are school teachers, and some of them are volunteer firemen, and some of them are construction workers, and some of them are this and some of them are that. They're going to have all kinds of different levels of education and experiences and so on, but that's fine. You're gonna be able to look at all that, and then, okay, these people here would make in the consensus generalization would make pretty good representatives from the various states, and these people would make pretty good senators, and these people would make pretty good presidential candidates. And then, okay, so on a national level, that would show up, and then the process would be to take the next step. So maybe the top 4 candidates in all the different positions would go on to another layer of doing town halls, or answering more questions about how they think, or going through like I don't know, scenario drills where someone just throws a question at them and says, okay, what do you if you're senator from Iowa and this just happened in Des Moines, what's your thought process? What do you think you would be thinking about trying to do about that or say about that? And just to see the reactions. And then, okay, so now that there's more information, and then everyone can look at this for another number of weeks, and it's all there on the system and secure, and you can only vote once because there's a biometric thing, your thumbprints or your facial recognition or retina scan or whatever it is. And then you have the final candidates, and maybe there's 2 for each office, and there's a final runoff, a final election, again using the same system, where people are picking these people. And then the beauty of it all is that now these people are not obliged to do what they think. They're obliged to do what we want them to do on the whole. And how do they know what we want to do? Well, every single month it becomes just standard practice. Every month we have an issue of the month, whatever it is, budget, the federal budget, or a state budget, or whatever. And then we spend some time in public forums that are broadcast, and open to everyone, and people can tune in and watch as much as they want. But subject matter experts that are supporting or providing the pro and the con, the good and the bad, the for and against, they would go through and give their viewpoints on the issue, let's say the budget, and why certain things they think we're spending too much money on, or it's inefficient, or there's fraud and waste for following reasons, or whatever, and all that stuff would be captured. And then in the end, we would just have facilitators that periodically would just summarize all this, so that you could do the detail, watch the entire thing, or you could just read the kind of summary report every evening. And you do a couple of days of this, and then you pretty much have it. These things are not so complicated that they can't be understood in a handful of hours, as long as you have a full generation of information, provided to you. And then, okay, so here's the situation. We know it now. Here's the situation. Now, what do we do about that? What's some ideas? So various people would come up with ideas. And then then we would look at, it's called a Pew matrix in engineering, where you look at the different ideas and you compare how well they might address the different issues that were brought up. And then you end up finding, well, some of the ideas are better or best, and then the last part of the process is you say, well, if idea C of 5 different ideas ended up being the best one, well, there's still some good ideas or partial parts of these other ideas that we'd like to put in there. Can we do it? Is it possible to do it? And often you can. So you can make a hybrid of the original idea, and it becomes a super idea. And then that becomes the policy. So you spend the last day or two, writing the legislation that accurately describes and contains the policy, the idea that was come up with that week. And then a bunch of representatives who are now not part of political parties, but just sworn to serve the American people, they vote. They look at it and say, does this make sense to me? I think it does. I vote yes. Another one next to him, I don't think it does. I vote no. The just like today, if a majority carries the vote in both the House and the Senate, then it goes to the president, and things get signed into law. And oh, by the way, we can also have these sunset things where any of these initiatives that we're talking about, the first time we talk about them in this format, there's a sunset thing for the law has to be reviewed in, let's say, 3 years. And then we do it again in 3 years from now and see what's working and what isn't. And whatever portions don't have to be changed, maybe the sunset portion is extended now, or maybe the second go around you extend it to 5 years or 6 years. And so you eventually get to a place where some of the laws, once they're well written and they really seem to contain what we want in general going forward, we just mostly leave them alone because people are pretty satisfied with them. So anyway, in summary, the political parties are really a bad thing. They're draining this country of the incredible potential that we have. We could be doing so many more things. We could be doing them so much better. We should aspire to do more, and it's my intent by making these videos and talking to people, in the small groups that I get to talk to, individuals that I get to talk to, try to inspire them to aspire to do more. Okay, I'm sparking. Please review this. And in the case of the election system, we would get rid of all, I don't know, not all, but maybe 99% of the incentives that there currently are for corruption and fraud and bias and all this other stuff. We would get rid of so much of it if we would just go forward with an improved system, which would take a congressional amendment, but we've done that before 27 times. So there you go, or maybe 26 times. 27 is almost approved, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, it's something like that. All right, so enough for tonight. Thanks for watching. Again, watch the other shows. We talk about all kinds of issues and be a better citizen. Michael James out here saying until tomorrow, bye for now.